Hi, my name is Audrey Moreno, and I'm the author of Humans Are Amazing, Discovering Your True Self. In my book, I propose that all people should use both hands equally, therefore strengthening their body and their mind, and becoming ambidextrous. In my book, I ask the question, why are almost all people only using one hand? 90% of the world's population is right-handed, 10 to 12% are left-handed, and under 1% of the world's population are ambidextrous, which means using both hands equally. Was there a point of time in history when all people used both hands equally? Or has it always been the same as maybe today's population? So 90% of the world's population is right-handed, 10 to 12% are left-handed, and under 1% are ambidextrous, which means using both hands equally. So that's one of the questions in my book is, were all people at one point just using both hands equally? And in what period of time did people decide to use their right hand more than their left hand? So in many cultures, there are many stigmas about the left hand. It's frowned upon to use your left hand, and it's also considered maybe wicked or bad luck. So in many cultures, I think it's difficult to become left-handed. Also, since there's so many right-handed people that maybe they are looking at the left-handed person that it's not normal, so they're just gonna make that person conform, like majority rules. But I also think it has to do something with the right hand, the way the right hand thinks. I know that sounds strange, but what I've discovered by using both hands is that each side of your brain thinks the opposite from the other. And why would each brain think opposite from the other? And that's to give your logic balance. In our mind, we have emotions such as happiness, sadness, anger, and fear. So in our mind, we have emotions that are opposites from each other, happy, sad. In the whole world, that's how most things operate, which means there's one, we're going to say one being or one object, and there's two sides to the object, and those sides are opposite from each other. But not only are they opposites in structure, but they're opposites in function. If you examine your brain, there's two hemispheres and they look the same. You know, your brain's round, and they're, of course, just like the rest of our body, these hemispheres, they are mirror opposites. Look at your hands are mirror opposites. Your eyes, there's two of them. Also, that's the point in my book that I discuss, is that the design of this world, like us, people, beings, human beings, there's two sides to us. We're bilateral, and these sides are opposite. They're not the same. That's why we look the way we do. We're symmetrical. Most people think, hey, my left hand is the same as my right, so there is no difference in being left-handed or right-handed. I have been training my left hand to be just as strong as my right hand since I was in high school, so that's been like over 15 years. At first, I didn't really think there was a difference mentally. I wasn't preoccupied with that. The reason what drove me to use my left hand was my logic was that I would become stronger. You know, I can do things with both hands and I can alternate, you know, rest one and use the other. That was my logic. So I began to use my left hand, and I was just using it and just really using it all the time. And so maybe I went like years using it. And so since you're not used to using your left hand, and see, I didn't realize that you have to build up this muscular connection with your bones, also, and strength-wise, endurance. But also there's like your nervous system. Your nervous system controls your arms, legs, your whole body, but it's connected to your brain. So since you're using this arm, you're using a part of your brain that you haven't used before. It only makes sense. And the reason why you haven't used that part of your brain is because your brain hasn't had to think about using your left hand. So when I started using my left hand, what I didn't realize is that not only am I waking up my hand to feel and write and do various things, not only am I waking up my hand physically, but also mentally. Because there's a part of your brain that is used to control your left hand. What's very interesting about your brain is that your left hand is controlled by the right side of your brain, and your right hand is controlled by the left side of your brain. And the reason why is because your brain is connected to your spinal cord, and your spinal cord goes all the way down the middle of your vertebral canal. You know, the bones, the ring bones around the spinal cord that goes down the middle. Everything in your body works like in twos. So your brain is in twos as well. because there's a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere. And as I explained to you, those are opposite. Everything in your body is opposites. It's symmetrical, but they're opposite. It's very funny also because it's even more confusing that since your brain is symmetrical and it's, they're different, they're opposites because of their shape. So the shape is saying that the function is going to be opposite because the shape is opposite. So I was saying that not only is it curious that your brain has two sides to it, but when it goes down to your spinal cord here, it's called the cortical spinal tract, it decussates, which means it crosses over. It crosses over to the opposite side of the body. So the way your brain and your body work are kind of like, my brain can tell my hand to move around and grab something. My brain can tell my hand what to do. But my hand can also tell information to my brain. Like, this is sharp, it's hard, this is soft. And so your hand also communicates to your brain information. So there's like a two-way highway connection there. So your brain, it goes down your spinal cord and it crosses over to the other side. And that's why it happens here in your cortical spinal tract that your nerves cross over to the opposite side. So human beings, we have two sides to ourselves. And why are we only using one side? What would happen if all people use both sides equally? Would they become stronger? Would they become smarter? One of the things I write about in my book and what I notice in the world is that everything has its opposite. Everything has an opposite. Like we ourselves, we could say we have a duality where there's like a 2-in-1, which is true because we have a left side and a right, and these are opposites, and so does our brain. Our brain does the same thing. So our brain has a function to feel and sense and think. So since most people in the world are right-handed and almost exclusively right-handed, which means all they do is use their right hand, they are only gathering signals from their right hand, like touching stuff or learning how to play guitar. They're only using that signal, which would be from your left side of your brain. As we talked about, opposite side of the brain controls opposite side of the body. So we're symmetrical and there's two sides to us. So if you examine our bodies further, you will see that not only on the outside we have a lot of body parts that come in pairs, such as our hands, our legs, eyes, ears, but also inside of our body, our organs. So we have 2 lungs, 2 kidneys, and in the reproductive system, you have the women have ovaries and the men have gonads. Those are in pairs. And also, like, you could say, it sounds funny, but you have nipples. They come in pairs. Your whole body comes in pairs, eyebrows. And so why are most people only using one side of their body? So I love discussing this topic, and I just encourage people to try to think about it for themselves. I have some tests in my book, which are writing, throwing a ball, kicking, soccer ball, trying to play a musical instrument like a guitar. So try to do all those things with the hand that you're not used to doing it with. And at first you're gonna go crazy. You're gonna feel like, yes, this is very difficult to do, but just try to get used to doing it. And I'm telling you, this is the way to strengthen your body. It's gonna be very uncomfortable, but what I always say is don't push yourself. Do not push yourself because you're not used to using your left hand. So if you're practicing using your left hand, I recommend getting a spiral notepad so you could practice writing, or you could write and keep a journal of your thoughts. What I like to do is listen to music or just play a YouTube video and just be writing and practicing. And I can do that for a little good while, and it gives me time to multitask. You could also go to the park, shoot basketball, do exercising. So I just encourage people to kind of think out of the box and think about why they're not using both hands equally, which most people are not. Under 1% of the world's population is ambidextrous. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and hammer that subscribe button.